Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kathy Nathnagel, and I am the content manager here at GiveSmart by Community Brands, and we are thrilled to have each of you listening here today and joining in our conversation. During this webinar, we're going to be sharing both anecdotal examples as well as some additional customer insights that demonstrate the nonprofits that we work with that continue to innovate, continue to have huge wins with their fundraising during this extended time of uncertainty. Today, joining me are two women who are kind of in the day-to-day conversations with nonprofits of all sizes from across the country. Allie and Kendra, thank you so much for joining. They'll unmute themselves when it's their turn to talk. So with that, we are going to kind of dive into a poll. Now, this is a poll that we've been sharing for a while. As it launches here, are you all sticking with what you've always done when it comes to your fundraising and how you've always done it? Are you expanding with new campaigns that you've kind of ironed out and planned? Are you exploring new opportunities and frankly looking for a lot of new ideas? Or are you feeling a little uncertain about what direction you are taking? Now, as everyone is kind of filling out the poll, and thank you for kind of clicking on it, making it happen. Allie, I wanted to ask you, what are you hearing from the customers that you work with in terms of kind of how their planning is going for this year and how it compares to kind of maybe last year a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So as we're all aware, 2020 was definitely full of virtual events. So we all kind of went to this virtual world. And moving into 2021, I've actually had a lot of customers that I've been working with that started to explore what we're calling the hybrid option. So it's been really encouraging to see some sense of normalcy come back. I'd say about 90% of my accounts are exploring that hybrid, half in the room, half online virtual idea, which is why we're all here today to learn a little bit more about that.
For sure, and I know across the board, your peers and kind of the GiveSmart team in general is hearing a heck of a lot more about hybrid than we did in the past, and that is why we're all here today. So as the poll kind of closes up, I know these results are pretty much on par with what we've been seeing, and is probably why all of you are here. If you had it all sorted out, you maybe wouldn't be showing up here today, but exploring new opportunities and looking for new ideas and feeling a little uncertain, hopefully we'll be able to provide kind of what everyone's looking for, which is kind of those new ideas. Now, and before we kind of dive into things and dive into the agenda, I just wanted to share, because we've had frankly, over 60,000 people join our webinar since we started. It's a lot of you. This offer is only being extended to our webinar listeners, and we're offering 1 month free for a new agreement with GiveSmart. So to support your year-round fundraising, you'll get that 1 month free. So you'll pay for 11 months, but get to use the platform for 12. Click on the link that is being shared in the chat right now, and I'll be sharing it in an email later, and someone from my team will reach out to you to help get things started. And it is definitely our one small way that we can say thank you so much for partnering with us and using us kind of to help you year-round fundraise. So with that, we're going to dive into the agenda. So let's go over what we hope to cover today. So we're going to start looking at what we're really talking about when we discuss online versus virtual fundraising versus hybrid fundraising. We're going to touch a little bit on the elements of how you make a successful fundraiser in this ever-crowded, ever-changing space. The team will share some general tips as well as activation examples that have stood out to us and have been deemed successful that you could hopefully gather some information from to add into your own existing options or to help kind of revamp what you guys are looking at. And then we will end with some questions and answers. So please put them in the chat as we're going along. It helps us kind of navigate, but in the event we don't get to your question or answer, please know that someone from my team will be reaching out to you. And to preemptively answer the most common question, this is being recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording as well as all of the resources that you're going to be seeing in the chat in an email later this evening. So do not fret, you will get this information once again. So to dive into those definitions, don't worry, this hopefully won't be the start of every grad graduation or wedding speech that you've ever heard. And this absolutely includes me, are guilty of using virtual fundraising, hybrid fundraising, and online fundraising interchangeably, which isn't super appropriate, and definitely doesn't speak to the truest sense of what these things really mean. So we're going to dive in to the kind of what each one means, and Kendra is going to kick us off.
Awesome. Thanks, Kathy. I'm excited to be here today. So first, we're going to be touching on online fundraising. What is online fundraising? It's the most common of fundraising scenarios where an organization is hosting their fundraising efforts digitally and includes no live programming, streaming, or guest in a physical location. The types of fundraising, however, can vary. So it could be an auction, a raffle, donations, but across the board, the key is that the campaign is exclusively online. It requires content distribution. You need to have a call to action location, such as a hosted page fundraising site, and give the opportunity to include donor feedback. Again, not live feedback, but feedback. So just to quickly recap, it's defined as tools and processes that enable nonprofits to raise money online, whether passively or during a dedicated fundraising event. So, and next we'll cover virtual. Thank you. All right, now virtual fundraising campaign is where there is an audience, is exclusively virtual. They're not in the same physical location, but they are participating in a program that is either live streamed or recorded. Organizations would provide a platform for their donors to give and for the volunteers to make it easy to fundraise. Elements include homepage design, messaging, and most commonly in the world we're living in, a live stream, a donation platform, sponsor recognition. The most common is the live stream where guests log in at a certain time to watch a program that an organization is putting on. Allie, how does the definition of hybrid fundraising fit in?
Sure, great. So hybrid fundraising is defined as it's a fundraising where a portion of your audience, regardless of the size, is physically on site. And then, of course, the other portion is online, remote, or virtual. The most common that we've seen is where you have an in-person event, has a fixed capacity. So the organization must ensure that the audience has the same giving opportunity as those participating outside of the physical space. So it's any nonprofit campaign or event driven partially online and partially in person. Typically requires a time-bound engagement. So again, with that live stream, texting during that hybrid event. So from 6 to 7, if you're doing that, that's when you're doing your live stream. It includes a live donor feedback element through usually more than one channel. So again, in person or online. And then it's also seen has an in-person capacity yet participation outside of that physical space. So to recap, in the room, and then also having those donors engage with that event, through the GiveSmart platform, through that live stream.
Perfect. And I know I have been guilty of using those words, not to their truest sense, like I had mentioned before. And I think most likely everyone who's listening today is very familiar with online fundraising. I would imagine that very few of you were solely dependent on cash and checks in order to get fundraising dollars for your mission. So our dear listeners, I'm sure you have accomplished a great deal since the start of social distancing, and you're very familiar with using an online platform, along with the way that some of our customers have demonstrated how they use the tools they had to find success, which I'm sure, again, all of you have really tried. So we're going to dig a little bit into some of the places that you can invest some time and energy for the greatest return as you go ahead and take that online fundraising and apply it to a virtual fundraiser, a virtual campaign, or a hybrid fundraiser or a hybrid campaign. The intention is to share some best practices in the hopes that you can take them back to your team to kind of elevate your fundraisers. So the idea is that some of you will at least have all of you will have some takeaways that you can use to, again, elevate what you're bringing to your constituent base. So Kendra, if you wouldn't mind, could you kick us off with some best ways that folks can leverage kind of that homepage or that campaign page?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a few slides dedicated to real life campaign examples coming up, as Kathy had mentioned, from the virtual fundraising world all the way to hybrid events. But before we take a deeper look at those examples, there are a few common things that our customers who have found success doing their sites do consistently on their site. So let's go ahead and dive in a little bit to sponsorships. You can feature them in a creative way. There are some trackable and easy ways you can engage your donors and sponsors on your fundraising site. Consider adding sponsor business cards with links to their websites from your fundraising site. With GiveSmart, you can track the traffic with Google Analytics, giving your sponsors real-time information on the website traffic patterns. Make it easy for your donors to donate. I think I hear this on almost all of my calls, that the main goal is to make it as easy as possible for the donors. You can leverage your campaign site and the order form to capture more donations and convert more donors. List your sponsorship options and allow your donors to pay for them right on your GiveSmart site. If you have menu options or add-on options, it's easy for people to pay with their credit card while on the order form. We have had lots of customers see success with offering their sponsorships in addition with tickets or take-home food, raffle ticket, instant items like merchandise, registration fees, and more just on the order form. The image on the right is showing you a visual of adding on raffle ticket and instant items to the order form. That way, when people are checking out with their ticket purchases, they immediately see something else that they can purchase. So in doing that, this group had a larger return on their raffle tickets than ever before. So it sounds logical, but providing a clear information and easy accessible way to donate is a good first step. We have seen this a lot with success adding of donation levels front and center with the reoccurring donation option. Because even if people don't win their auction items, if they get outbid or buy a ticket, can't make the live stream, they can still give. They were drawn to your site for a reason, so give them a clear way to support your mission. And you should add reoccurring donation options for your folks. We hear time and time again that leveraging reoccurring giving is great, sometimes a small start to other sustainable revenue streams. Lastly, allow your site to do the talking. Examples are coming up, and we provided some screenshots of smart ways our customers have conveyed social distancing, safety tips, pickup instructions. We know many of you listening do auctions for your events, be it a gala, golf outing, wine tasting. We get a lot of questions about how to convey pickup for items or social distance safety. I don't mean, I guess, to sound like a broken record, but use the tools that you have. Your site is customizable for a reason, and we are sharing some support articles here soon on how to customize this order form more in the chat, so check that out. All right, next slide. All right, messaging is another great thing to leverage in this world. So what are some ways that you can attract and engage your donors? It is no doubt a crowded space. Perhaps people are fatigued, but across the board, giving at every level has increased. From the over 9,000 campaigns that have run since COVID started, the number of bids per item and the percentage of people participating in revenue enhancers like raffles, auctions, paddle races, donations is up. When I talk with customers who are having success, general theme of deliberate layered communication emerges. I want to touch on a few things that I've seen with that. One of the layers of communication plan is the tried and true email. Most of us have a full inbox. yet most of you probably found your way to this webinar because of an email. There are some general tips like keeping your email short, conversational, really leaning on your subject line. They should be no more than 60 characters. Make sure your opening line is compelling, because we know a lot of emails will show that in preview. Make sure your email communication shows more than a call to action. Share mission updates. Have someone who benefits from the mission send the email. Even though your fundraisers may be virtual for the time being, still send the know before you go email to your guest, and do not rely on email only. Remember, fold in those layers. Social media is often offered as a solution to all of your woes. But what does that really mean? It can seem daunting to manage multiple social media platforms at once, especially if you're just starting. Set aside some time every week to go into each of the accounts. Block an hour on your calendar. Make sure you post and comment back on posts, like responses, and respond to direct messages and follow new accounts. It's important to stay active in your organization's account so that you can see the benefits of the social media connections. Your donors and board members are also your biggest advocates. So take it a step further and ask them to share about the organization on their own personal social media accounts. GiveSmart saw a huge uptick in traffic from LinkedIn. We've had several customers, such as Camp One Step, which we are going to be sharing in the chat as well, create a street team of posters. These are pre-selected team who agree to promote your campaign. In return, you would provide them with some swag, like I am supporting signage or sample messaging, photos, and graphics for them to use. Obviously, creating a street team and doing it right is going to take time. But any customer that I have worked with who has taken the approach and has taken their time with it has seen the strategy pay off. And lastly, don't just post call to action. Make certain to post about your mission, do staff or volunteer recognition, share awareness information, celebrate stakeholders during National Month. For example, Women History Month is this month. Share top peer-to-peer fundraisers. People are working hard to support your mission and are usually excited to share when they have been recognized. Shout out and support your dedicated volunteers to help grow your audience. The image above is from GiveSmart partner Instagram, and it highlights a feature available to all of our partners at zero additional cost. Where I have seen text to donate feature effectively used is, if you can imagine, extending a timeline. My customers who text outside of a virtual hybrid event, as in a friendly thank you text message, don't forget to share, providing them with a link to share, have seen great success with getting their message out there. And of course, you don't want to be excessive when pushing out the text messages. However, my customers who use the text feature outside of the event and outside of the traditional use around the auction find continued exposure results in more conversation, and then when it's time, more donations. We even have some schools who use our text feature to notify the parents of school closing, delays, a reminder about days that the school is closed, because they are already paying for GiveSmart. And then all of the parents are registered in the system. So when it comes time to push out a call to action, they have a familiar audience with the system. And lastly, videos. Allie, I know you're about to touch on live streams and pre-recorded video elements, but with the phone in your hand, I have seen customers do some creative things outside of that, such as sponsored thank you videos, silent auction teasers, walkthroughs, toast, highlighting donation matching. with videos that you can share right on your campaign site, on social media, and more. Building videos into your communication plan can help facilitate donor engagement. Post with a video has more engagement on Facebook and Instagram, and post on Twitter with a video has 10 times more that engagement than post without a video. Think about that for a minute. This is straight from Hootsuite, those stats. Layering those communication plans, your emails, your text message, your social media, and adding video elements is the way to find success with your audience and converting them to donors. So, Allie, where are you seeing customers have success with Livestream?
Okay, so as Kendra just mentioned, video is an incredibly engaging platform for a ton of reasons. It allows nonprofit leaders to connect with their audience face-to-face, even from far away. It's also an excellent tool for promotion since it enables nonprofits to build trust and excitement quickly. A Google study actually confirmed that 50% of viewers donate after watching an online video, which is a great way to pull at those heartstrings. Live streaming the event is a fantastic way to let others in on the experience, even if all of the donations are happening through your online platform. You should consider using video to promote along the way, like Kendra mentioned, but we know many of you are still trying to sort out the live stream option. My team and I work with customers who have found success doing a series of pre-recorded videos, doing the live stream production themselves, or hiring a production team. We have also had customers have success doing a combo of pre-recorded and live. Each of you listening has different resources in terms of staff and budget. So to jump into the pre-recorded, just some advantages and disadvantages. The advantages that I have found of pre-recorded is that you can fix any problems prior to going live, right? So easier to troubleshoot using PowerPoint or pre-recorded videos. You can post the video at any time, and you can use the videos in an evergreen sense, sharing your mission video again and again. You're not really bound to any safety rules because people can send their videos from anywhere. You can still be interactive by taking pauses, presenting bidding, etc. in a pre-recorded. And then some disadvantages, you can't use the GiveSmart displays for the donation appeal. You can't necessarily do any live bidding, and then you don't really have a ton of interaction with the guests and viewers. So going into that live stream portion, the advantages that we've seen with that, so using Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Vimeo, or any live stream platform you can honestly think of, you can schedule a window of time that your live stream will be a part of your virtual event. We recommend no longer than an hour because, as you can imagine, you will lose attention from your crowd after that hour. With YouTube Live or Vimeo, again, you can embed the stream right into your GiveSmart homepage. We've seen concerts, DJ sets, performances to kind of keep the content light and interesting. So really keeping the engagement of your donors. You can have that chat feature open, call out donors as they make those donations. It's really a great motivator to, keep getting those donations coming in. And then the images on the screen now are from DIFA Chicago, who did a combo event. So they used pre-recorded videos in some of it, and then they also did live with their testimonials and their mission videos. They also hired a production company. So as some of you can recall from your in-person days, many of you likely hired AV for your live event. It's a production and it has to work for the success of your evening, be it a gala, cocktail party, golf outing, luncheon. Consider applying the same logic to your virtual or hybrid event. A polished presentation can elevate the experience for your donors and in turn pay off. DIFA Chicago actually had a 230% year-over-year increase, and their production company absolutely speaks to that. So the next slide, jumping into just being creative. What we hear from our customers over and over, and we work with thousands, is that the current climate requires a bit of creativity and trying. Several people have shared with our team that this last year was maybe saved by a major donor or a group of long-time dedicated donors. But now, in year 2 of the extended uncertainty, a plan is definitely needed. Your major donors or future sponsor wins come down the road from people who gave $500 today. If you don't pursue that $500 today, thank and steward those people, where will that leave you a few years from now? And part of that relationship building is certainly being memorable and creative. What can you do to stand out now and connect with your donors and volunteers? I actually partner with a ton of boys and girls clubs that use GiveSmart nationwide. And one of the events or campaign that stuck out to me last year was a voting competition. So to make a very long story short, they did watch parties. So 10 different houses had two to 10 people at them. They all jumped onto this live stream, and they actually made this creative and competitive. So each house had a vote option on the GiveSmart site, and they really encouraged their friends and family to jump on and vote for their house. And the winner, whichever house had the most votes at the end of the evening, got a free VIP gala table at their next in-person event. So really keeping the creativity in there, making it very competitive. They actually raised like $17,000 more than they were expected to, not even thinking that just putting these people up against each other in a competition would bring that in. So that was definitely cool to see.
Perfect.
Next.
You know, Allie, I really love that. And I love that, you know, being able to bring people together and getting together to celebrate with others is something that I know I personally am looking very forward to in the not so distant future. And I'm sure, you know, again, being memorable and creative is really important. I know we went through a lot. And if you feel like that was not enough time to spend on those things, I mean, we talked about social and Instagram and, you know, emailing and this and that, and there were a lot of nuggets of information. We recognize that. You're not alone. A lot of people are like, did you mean to move slides? Because this has a lot of content. You're correct. But do not fret. Because from April through June, the GiveSmart team, so myself included, will be doing a deep dive into these elements and more. So talking about campaign pages and more about social and messaging and all of those things. And it's going to be a panel discussion with your nonprofit peers. So space will be limited because we do want it to be an open discussion, but the intention is to have several hundred people kind of joining in and learning more, you know, from people who found success. So be on the lookout for some emails from me and my team and how you can register. And so now the thing that everyone is always itching to get it is example time. Woohoo! We do have quite a few to go through, and they cover a variety of virtual and hybrid fundraisers and a lot of elements that people brought in to these virtual and hybrid fundraisers to find success. The hope in doing so is to offer up a few ideas that you can kind of write down and really do a think on that you can again apply to your own plan to elevate and support your mission. So with that, Allie, kick us off with a creative voting competition.
Yes, so back to the voting, and I'm a huge fan of the voting. The first one we have up here is from Reach for Resources. They did a virtual chalk art contest, so a voting competition with some of their supporters and the folks that they support. So they didn't necessarily charge a fee for entry. We've seen a lot of clients that do, totally up to you on kind of where you want to go with the event. But to give a baseline, a voting competition is when entries for any variety of things, art, doppelgangers, food wars, segments of the population you're targeting, alumni classes, for example, etc., are pitted against each other. People vote via donation, and each dollar equals a vote. We have seen nonprofits provide a swag bag to the winner, cash prize, as I mentioned earlier, a table to your next live event. I thought that that was super creative for them to, you know, make that the prize. The sky's really the limit when it comes to what they win for this vote. So back to the Reach for Resources, this competition fundraising was directly tied to filling the gap that COVID caused, as Reach for Resources is an essential healthcare provider. They shared a video sharing the impact of the rising costs and slowing donations and challenges and the supply chain had on their organization. This was time bound, and the pre-recorded video provides that streaming element that we touched on earlier. Mission videos are super powerful. Others have done sponsor commercials and sharing those on campaign sites or encourage entrants, in this case, the artists, so the ones that did the chalk, to post on social media using a specific hashtag to encourage the donations. It's entirely possible to have a fun, creative, and engaging fundraiser without a live stream or a ton of production cost. Which brings me to my next one. Oh, Kendra, you're next.
Awesome. So I'm going to highlight Mount St. Mary College. They did a really successful virtual campaign with exclusively collecting donations. There were no items, no tickets or other elements, simply a donation drive. But what they did that was a little bit unique are they put the different funds that were available to support on their site. They range from sports to statue restoration to specific offices on campus. And I'm sure as you guys are sitting here listening to these different ideas, you're probably thinking about, you know, what opportunities do you guys have to collect funds that people could help support. I understand, I know a lot of groups still, you need the flexibility of the earmarked funds, but this is a great way to really highlight what their dollars can be doing for you all. Maybe you can't earmark certain funds, but most of you listening have dedicated volunteers or board members who could do peer-to-peer fundraising on your behalf. I have seen a lot of organizations using the peer-to-peer function. We call it champions within our system. Even when peer-to-peer wouldn't have traditionally been used. If you are doing a donation campaign at a school, you can have alumni sign up to fundraise and give the winner a swag bag or other recognition. Could you have your committee do a peer-to-peer fundraising to help close the gap at the end of the year? Mount St. Mary College did have videos uploaded where their board of trustees had offered to do a match to the fund that raised the most money within a certain period of time, which is a great way to help drive the activity for a set time. There were creative ways to use the match or elevate the donors within the virtual space. Hopefully this story helps you think about what possibilities you guys have within your organizations to break down a donation drive. Next, I'm going to highlight some creative raffle options. Here on this slide, the Baltimore station did a robust virtual raffle campaign, and it's sort of a play on the Tricky Tray raffle. To kind of help set the stage, a Tricky Tray, also known as a basket raffle or a penny sale, is a common fundraising game used to draw in donors who can only give a little but enjoy the art of competition or a game of chance. Especially the Tricky Tray is a combination of a silent auction and a raffle concept. As the virtual event, you can set up a Google Sheet to manage the submissions, as well as allows you to randomize selections for the winners with any random number generator you can find online. At the end of the raffle or the event, the winners are picked from the raffle tickets submitted to each item, and they can pick up the items just like any other auction winner would. The items for your Tricky Tray can be set up as instant items and added to the order form, kind of touching on what we talked about earlier. The Baltimore station had great packages that could be used in this socially distanced world. For example, vacation homes for local stays, tailgate packages, boat parties. Consider a raffle only campaign as a kickoff to your gala campaign or something a committee could manage. This is a prime example of something that you may have a lot of donations for, but don't have the capacity in the short hour-long live stream that would necessarily see a good return on that investment. What is stopping you from pulling it out and doing a separate campaign? GiveSmart customers can do unlimited campaigns. Our customer who did the most campaigns in 2020 did 26 campaigns. So pull out some of these elements that you typically would have had at your in-person gala and consider running a separate campaign so you can really maximize the funds being raised with those different pieces. And as a bonus, they added reoccurring giving to the order form. So when people were checking out, they could choose to be a reoccurring, aka monthly donor. We have seen a 700% increase in reoccurring donations over the past year. Let that sink in for just a minute. So make sure you turn that option on within your own site. All right. And then hybrid events, here we go. I know I have been hearing from a lot of my clients, more of them are starting to think about the hybrid world and seeking options if they have fundraisers planned in the back half of the year. As mentioned, hybrid fundraisers are event-based and have both an in-person and virtual element. Brookwood and Georgetown had a robust hybrid event planned. They hosted people in one location and allowed people to buy tickets, including a take-home meal for their households or to host a party. Very comfortable for everybody at every level, with safety at the top of their mind. The big late night show featured it all. They had a live auction element, they had silent auction, 50-50 raffle, regular raffle, paddle race. They had proxy bidders on site for people who couldn't be in person, to make sure that they had the opportunity to bid on those live items. Something that they really liked is that the people who wouldn't participate because of needing a babysitter or the logistics of planning around their family needs or the constraints of distance were not a factor. Everyone could participate no matter where they were or their comfort level. I was talking to a customer recently, and they had let me know that people think the virtual or hybrid event is so much easier to do. While certain things are definitely easier, no choosing of flowers or centerpieces, hosting people virtually or a hybrid can be more work in some ways because you don't have a playbook. There haven't been many hybrid events done, and we are really kind of set in for this potentially being the norm for the next few months. A year ago, you were building the plane while flying it to ensure your missions were supported virtually. With the hybrid events coming into focus in the next few months, you have the time now to jumpstart your planning so you can have a successful event. Next slide. And Allie, over to you.
Okay, so this one, we're talking about First Tee of Delaware. They hosted a golf event, or a golf tournament, I should say, and added some elements that didn't only happen on the green. They actually incorporated virtual bartenders. This allowed people to participate completely virtually, and they effectively communicated COVID-19 safety guidelines to their participants via their GiveSmart homepage. Golf is one of the few sports that can continue in a safe, socially distant way. Golfers are used to giving people space. This is integral to the sport. Many have their own gear. You can do check-in outside and make it clear to people to come in masked. We have been doing and seeing a real uptick in golf outings being planned. You can sell mulligans via your GiveSmart page. You can still have hole sponsors, sell hole-in-one chances. All that can be done via online fundraising, and then people can enjoy the person element of it too. Next slide. So this one, we're talking about a school, and this school did a standout hybrid event, hosting some people in one space and allowing folks to do at-home parties, like I was speaking about earlier, with a range of 2 to 10 guests. It allowed flexibility, community, stewardship, a VIP experience, and celebration for everyone's comfort level. As the world continues to open and regulations look different everywhere, comfort varies no matter what. They sold out on-site tickets, sold out events. Can you imagine a time? They did a streaming auction from their hosted site, including both silent and live. Of course, they included door prizes of wine bottles to folks who bought the at-home party experiences, which included charcuterie, streaming access, and more. We've seen a number of customers provide a dinner to go option as well. They'll include cocktail kits with a ticketed virtual mixology class. It seems like a lot of our customers are pulling out some of their experiences and doing a dedicated campaign around those only. An in-person event is hours long, experience with multiple revenue enhancers, auction, raffle, wine pull, signature cocktail, late night food, etc. It can be too much to try to fit that into one day, which is why many of our customers who have achieved their fundraising goals have extended their timelines or pulled out some of those elements so that the fundraising is maximized. And then the next one, so here's another example that involves a voting competition. Again, my favorite, sponsor recognition and a hybrid event. So this school did a holiday walk where the families and businesses who paid a special fee and were folded into sponsored content decorated their homes, condos, businesses, and then people would walk around and donate $1 to cast a single vote. So really bringing in that competitiveness again. The home and businesses with the most votes or dollars won. The entrants could also solicit donations from their own friends and family, no matter if they did the walk or not. Could you think of something similar you could do in a local downtown and involve all the businesses there? Could you do something with high-level donors around a theme and upload photos for a voting contest, 4th of July, cars during a trunk or treat? Could a company sponsor the award? You get the idea. They're creative, low barrier ways to involve businesses year-round outside of your premium event.
Oh, phew, that was quite the kind of power hour or almost hour of example after example. And Kendra and Allie and myself, I sure do hope that each and every one of you who are listening took something away. You know, we know a lot was shared. Is it possible to do it all? To do it all well? No way. And as you look at the handful of things that you're thinking about adding in, and I know Allie and Kendra both spoke to the fact that, are there things that you do well, but in the hour-long time frame of a live stream, you wouldn't get that return. So can you pull those things out? Again, GiveSmart partners can create as many campaigns as they want to within the platform. So just as you look at the handful of things that you're trying to add in, make sure to check out GiveSmart's Fundraising Accelerator, which should be being shared in the chat right now, to look at real data from GiveSmart customers that kind of breaks down these elements and a few more that could maybe help guide what you could raise if you added them in your own organization. I know as you kind of finalize your fundraising plans for your year, again, I hope that you all had some takeaways and that you have some things that you can use, and we definitely have a few questions. As a reminder, you're going to receive the recording, so if there's something you wanted to share with a board member or team, an idea off of, you will have the original audio, and with my fast talking, all of the resources we shared in the chat today will also be included in that email. And many of the examples we shared today, and quite a few of our success stories that we often share come from our community members. And the GiveSmart community is a free gathering place for our partners to collaborate, learn, and network. Make sure to join, and there should be a chat being shared, or a link in the chat being shared right now, and be involved as you would like to be. And as I had mentioned before, kind of early on, we have a series coming up starting in April where you'll be invited to panel discussions to do a deeper dive on some of the elements that we shared today. And our April and additionally, our April webinar is coming up a little bit earlier in the month on Friday, April 16th, and we'll go into other ways that you can kind of lean into that recurring giving that we mentioned a few times this afternoon as a revenue stream option. And then last but not least, at the very end, there's going to be a survey, and please take it. We do look at them. We take your comments seriously, and we shift, some of the things that we do in the way that we communicate based on your direct feedback. And because some of you may have been a little late to join in case you joined late, as a reminder, this offer is only being extended to our webinar listeners. We're offering a month free for a new agreement with GiveSmart to support your year-round fundraising. So 12 months for the price of 11. Click on the link that's in the chat, and a team member will reach out to you in short order to help you kind of get things started. It's our own, again, small way of saying thank you for being our partner, and thank you for choosing GiveSmart. So with that, we have a few questions coming in, and I think this one is for you, Annie. Someone asked, our organization is hosting a hybrid event in May, a walk event. Do you have any tips for making sure our virtual participants feel included in the event as much as the in-person participants will?
Sure, and a question that I probably get daily. I cannot say it enough to over communicate through your homepage, in particular to the timeline, to make sure that everyone is fully aware of the timing. You can leverage text messages so that both the audience groups are receiving the same messaging. If possible, use some sort of live streaming so that, while the ones that aren't present or physically there, they can still have this visual. And then, one that I've seen time and time again is if you're having any sort of meal or drink, or, with a walk. I don't know if it really takes to that, but putting that on your homepage too, right? To make everybody feel included. Hey, this is what we're doing at the walk. Can you also incorporate this at your house or wherever you are that you're watching this video?
Yeah, I think I believe it was you who had touched on, like, send, or maybe it was Kendra, to send that no before you go, make people feel included in the process. And definitely, I'm sure you've seen some people kind of leverage social media in that way, and share some like mission videos, or do like a Facebook Live, something like that, low production costs for sure, to make people feel, that they're part of the experience. I think, yeah, like you said, it's a question a lot of people have, and there's definitely some good ways that you just shared. Thank you. Kendra, this one is for you. Um, Someone asked, I'm new in the role at my agency and I'm struggling to find ways to get people to be interested in attending those big money-making fundraising events. What are some ways that you have found successful, or you've found successful to draw people to a virtual fundraising event?
Yeah, this is also a really good question, and definitely something I've talked about before with other groups. I think the first thought and kind of the first thing that comes to my mind is offering some type of incentive. Everybody who registers before a certain date is entered into some type of door prize option or something along those lines. Is one tactic that I see kind of used a lot. Another thing that I've actually seen, and I really like this idea, is doing kind of a deal of the day type option, where you have a handful of items that are only available for one set day for a set period of time, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it kind of draws them in to look at those items every day and jump in there and make those purchases, because if they wait and drag their feet, they're going to be gone. So I've seen that done is, one day auctions, little pop-up auctions leading up to the event, or as just instant items being sold leading up to the event.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. And again, both of you speak with, that's what you do. You speak with customers all the live long day. So I appreciate kind of bringing your insights. One last question, and I'll let either of you take it. How do you see customers doing live auctions kind of in a hybrid way? So allowing those who are at home to be able to bid as well as those who are in the room.
Sure, I can speak to this one. I actually just had this come up on a call right before this. So definitely not your typical live auction, right? So in our system, what we saw through the strictly virtual world was obviously those items have to be silent in the system. So to the charity and to the GiveSmart staff, we know that they're silent auction items, but to the donors, we want to make it clear that those are live. They do have to be marked as silent in order to be bid on through your computer, through your phone, but really showcasing them, whether that's a banner at the bottom of the picture that you can do in clip art or something like that, that's a live item. Again, you can never over communicate what's going on at the event. So I've seen that work. So making those live items available, let's just say for a half hour during the event, or maybe you're showcasing them through the live stream and you're opening up that item for 5 minutes for people to bid on through their phones or computers. And then the other option that I see coming up more and more now are having a proxy bidder in the room. So in my experience, I have seen all of the big donors be in the room at these hybrid events, but if we did want to offer it to the people at home, a proxy bidder in the room or somebody from the organization that can either take a call, if you put out a number, hey, if you'd like to bid on this live auction item, you can call this number, and bidding for them in the room. Again, or just having a proxy that is assigned to that person. So John Smith knows that so-and-so from the charity is his person and he wants this item and he's willing to spend $5,000, and having that person bid for him. And Kendra, I don't know if you've seen anything different.
No, absolutely. That's exactly what I would recommend too. When it comes to proxy bidders, I think the key is making sure that your guests know what the live auction items are ahead of time. So by setting them as a live auction item within the GiveSmart system, it does allow your bidders to be able to preview them. So I would strongly encourage to make sure you get those items up ahead of time, so people can start making their plans and thinking about those options, and let them know that they can have a proxy bidder too.
For sure. And I think across the board, the example, maybe probably when that question was asked, was specifically, they had proxy bidders and kind of used some of the tips and tricks that you both just kind of touched on. So with that, I think that pretty much wraps up our questions. Again, if there's something specific that you needed answering and it made sense to do it in a one-on-one way, someone will be reaching out to you. So with that, Allie and Kendra, thank you so much for being here. And to our listeners and fundraisers out there, thank you for joining and definitely being active kind of in that chat. Please take the survey. And again, thank you for being here and have a great rest of your Wednesday.